Hello, today we're going to do some polyboard printing. Polyboard is thin polystyrene, so the kind of stuff you get that is on the back of a pizza or is in ceiling tiles or sometimes in other packaging. So thin polystyrene board that you can indent and make a mark into. And I'm going to show you how to print a bandana today. So the materials you're going to need to do this little project are a wideish paintbrush, the polyboard, some acrylic paint, some fabric medium, a small bottle, or if you've got a printer's roller, it doesn't matter if you haven't, small bottle is absolutely fine, and some water to wash your brushes out in, maybe some scissors, a sharp pencil and a felt tip, and a piece of paper for practice. So your first job is to think about what it is you're going to use, what design you're going to have on your print plate. You can have more than one, but the things that work best are very bold, simple designs that are easily recognisable. Now I'm going to have a little sketch and think about some designs that will work well for print and then decide on one of those, and so are the girls. Of course, you can always look for inspiration on the internet, in books, on fabric, wherever you find it, but remember, simple and bold. Once you're happy with your design, now it's time to transfer it to your polyboard. And the best way to do this is very gently with a soft felt tip so that you're not in digging. Because if you make a mistake, then you can either go over the line or you can turn over, or just not follow that line when you dig in. But you'll see what I mean. But gently transfer it onto your polyboard with a soft felt tip. So take a sharp pencil and what you're going to start to dig in on your lines. Now the polystyrene puts up a little bit of resistance and some bits are easier to dig in than others. So when you're going around curves and stuff, you have to be careful that you don't kind of offshoot. And a way to avoid this is by starting off gently, but then going over it a few times. So really digging in. And of course, don't dig in too hard because you will go all the way through, but make sure that it's really squashed down, because where it's indented is where the paint will not pick up, so that will form your line. But you'll see what I mean when we have a little practice. Okay, so once you're happy that you've dug in all of your lines, that they're all really firmly dug in, so that they're indented and that you can feel it, then I suggest you have a little practice on paper, because you don't want to go straight onto your bandana and ruin it, do you? So have a little practice, and this is the time to really iron out any problems that you might have. So try and keep nice and clean, try and keep it off your, I'm doing it on the paper so you can see, but ideally you would have a little newspaper set up. So you just stroke that paint on, make sure it's all covered. Right across the back. And I'm going to very carefully lift it up, place it face down, and this is my practice on paper, and then I'm going to use the little roller, which is a drinks bottle, to make sure that it is, I've rolled it all over the back, even pressure, so that all of the print plate picks up onto the back. And then it's time to peel and reveal. Oh yeah, it's worked well. Okay, so I'm going to look at it now and think, right, what would I prefer? What would I like to do better? And I would like a little bit more paint on that flower, on the eye, because it hasn't come out quite as well as I wanted it to. So that's taught me a lesson. I need to put on slightly more paint, but it's a nice even spread. And that's why we do a practice, so that we can make things better for the real thing. When you're doing a project like this, it's always good to set up your workstation so that you're all prepared. It's good to have newspaper down, which gives the bandana a bit of cushioning, but also obviously protects your surfaces. When you're printing your bandana, you need to have an area away from the bandana that you're putting on your paint, because otherwise you're going to end up with unwanted paint all over your bandana, and that is your finished piece. With printing, as with anything, it's important to try and keep nice and clean so that you don't transfer unwanted paint, particularly onto your bandana. But you know, a little imperfection shows it's handmade, and handmade is wonderful. Okay. So for my scarf, I'm going to use a bit of blue, and I'm going to use a bit of green. So I'm going to start with the blue. And so I put a squirt into each pot, and then I'm going to have a equal squirt of the fabric medium. Okay, so about the same amount, and then very carefully mix together. And I'm only going to work with one colour at a time on this one, but you might want to work with more than one colour. In which case get them both mixed up. So I've put down some newspaper and I've laid out my scarf nice and flat so that I can see it all. And next is, you've got to think of another design decision, which is, are you going to have your print plate randomly scattered across, or are you going to go for a more even pattern? Think about the scarf as a whole, and also think about how you're going to wear it. Now I'm still not absolutely happy with that bit, so what I'm going to do, that bit around the eye, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my sharp pencil and I'm going to dig it out again, because it's not picking up properly. Now, and also, anytime you change colours, remember to wash your brushes, and anytime, and then dry your brushes so you're not too soggy. And if your plate is getting too clogged up, then you can always wash it under the tap at any time as well. But carry on until you're happy that you've covered your scarf as many prints as you want. So I'm going to change colour now and do the other print that I made, the gentleman. And because I think it needs a pop of another colour, I'm going to go for the reds. Once you're happy that you've printed your bandana, leave it to dry totally, and then gently peel off the newspaper off the back, and then iron with a piece of paper in between for about 5 minutes on a wool setting, and this will fix it, ready to be washed, and then it won't ever wash away. So here's some other things I've printed. I printed little notebooks and used a print to make a concertina card. I printed on a box for earrings. I printed around a photo frame. So once you get going, you know, you can gift wrap, cards, there's all sorts of nice things to do. And it's so simple, just save those backs of pizzas.